My name is Carlos Moreno. I am a professor at the Sorbonne University in Paris. I am the scientific director of the ETI chair, Entrepreneurship, Territory and Innovation. In my team, our specialty is to research about the urban and territorial transitions. And our team today, we have this honor to have been developing this a very worldwide popular concept, 15-minute city. Indeed, in different continents, including today in India, we have discussed about the impact of the 15-minute city for our urban life. In reality, I wanted to discuss today for going beyond just the motto 15-minute city, because of course I'm very proud of this worldwide popularity, but we need to understand the real scientific ideas for changing our urban life. The first point, in fact, is to say that in these hard times, for 1 year, in the totality of the planet, we have been living with this COVID-19 pandemic crisis. This is a very hard reality because the impact, it's a very, very relevant, in particular for cities. The lockdown and the different measures are very hard for living. And the question for many people is, how could we live again with a new normality? The question about what is the normality is a real question today. But the COVID-19 is today a big opportunity for spreading this concept of the city of proximity. But in reality, this is not the origin of the concept, because the real origin, the concept is concerned 5 years ago, when we hosted in Paris the Conference of Parties, the COP21, in order to discuss about the Paris Agreement for fighting against global warming. And the Paris Agreement at this moment has decided for deploying a new roadmap at the horizon 2050 in order to reduce the massive CO2 emissions. In this moment, the reduction, the rate of reduction was the 45%. And 5 years ago, I considered that if we wanted to examine the different contributors for the CO2 emissions, at the heart, we found, this is the case today, cities. Cities are still now the main contributors for the CO2 emissions. And when we want to examine cities, you have another very, very significant contributor, mobility, transportations, in particular individual cars. Do you know in India, in Delhi, the impact for the urban health of the personal cars, diesel cars, etc. And 5 years ago, I said that if we wanted to fight against climate change radically, if we wanted to reduce massively the CO2 emissions, we needed to live differently. We needed to change our urban lifestyle. For that, the question is not if I could have a more clean mobility with the electrical vehicles or to continue to build new rail transportations. In fact, this moment, I said that the most important and strategic point for fighting against climate change is to reduce naturally our emission of CO2. And this is the concept of proximity. How could we live in our cities differently if instead of to continue to move in permanence in whole city, we have the possibility to explore our resources in the proximity for reducing our CO2 emissions naturally and to continue to improve the quality of life. This is the starting point in the
voilà ce que j'ai trouvé.
Proposal for imagining another urban lifestyle based on proximity. Of course, when I proposed 5 years ago this idea, this is not the good time. This is this is not the good moment. This is not the good time for impacting people. 5 years after, we have been deploying a very important movement of the young for climate change, Greta Thunberg, the young people around the world. And today, this is very popular. And in general, all people agree the vital importance to fight against climate change. And we needed to reduce not more than 45%, but to reduce 65% our CO2 emissions. And at the same time, 5 years after, we have in the real life the COVID-19 with the very hard consequences to reduce our mobility in cities. In fact, today, the city of proximities, the 15-minute city, this is the better response in the convergence for fighting, on the one hand, against climate change, and the other hand, against COVID-19. This convergence, this is one of the reasons for explaining what this 15-minute concept is becoming popular and worldwide. But I want to share with you that we need to understand 15-minute city. This is the embodiment for proposing a new urban lifestyle. The good question for urban planners, the good question for local governance, the good question for urban innovative ecosystem is in what kind of city do we want to live in today, tomorrow, after tomorrow, in the next year, in 5 years, in 10 years, and 2050. This is not possible today to continue to accept the unacceptable. The question is today, do you want to continue to live in these mineral cities, in the traffic jams, with the diesel cars, with the fine particles, with the unbreathable air in cities? This is not a human city. It is not possible today to continue to shop in the big mall, in the unhuman mall. This is not possible to continue to build these big centers without humanity. And even if we wanted to promote the mass transportation, this is not human to use the mass transportation in these conditions. We need in Paris, in Delhi, in Bogota, in New York, in all cities, to propose a humanistic way for living in cities. For that, we need to propose a new urban lifestyle. We need to build together a new urban narrative. And today, with the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, we no longer have the choice. This is mandatory today. This is compulsory. This is a duty to propose a new path, a new way, a new journey for developing the sustainable cities. In fact, if we wanted to explore this concept of sustainability, in reality, this is only an ecological approach. It's one of the three elements. Of course, we need to have a very significant ecological approach for continue to have the resources and to develop the low carbon cities. But we need as well to develop the new economic model in cities. We need to propose the new business model for cities. We need to propose the new services in cities. And this is today with the social impact, the two others key elements for promoting sustainability in cities. A sustainable city is a city as ecological, economical, and social positive impact. The local governance, if we wanted to propose a sustainable city, we need to increase the sustainability via the common good. The common good is the most powerful way for promoting the positive uses of the different resources, material or immaterial, in cities: air, water, public spaces, trees, vegetalizations, data, rules, law. The 15-minute city, or in general, the cities of proximity, is based on the possibility for local governance to deploy the common good in the different activities in order to improve the quality of life of citizen dwellers. Based on an ambitious urban policy with the common good at the heart, we have the possibility to build a new urban narrative and to propose a new urban mindset. We need to shift the paradigm. This is not possible to continue to live today in cities with the same paradigm, because our paradigm, this is a paradigm of the last century. We need today to change, because we need to change the paradigm, because we need sustainable cities, because we need to develop a new approach in the convergence, in the ecological, economical, and social positive impact. The city of proximity is the best response for obtaining this quality of life, the high quality societal of the urban life. The question I said often is not, is my city smart? The question is not how could we deploy sensors, actuators, algorithms, and IT solutions. The real question today is, what is the best way for offering for each one of citizen dwellers a high quality of the urban life? And one of the remarkable points is the loss of the useful time through the modern times. The useful time, in reality, is one thing incredible, because we don't have more. We don't have more useful time. What is the reason why we don't have more useful time? Because the modern urbanism, the processes of metropolization, the processes of intensive urbanization, as a result, very important distances between the urban main social functions. For going from my home to my job, for example, in general, the average is more than 1 hour in several cities, and 2 hours for the round trip. 1 week, one day. This is very, very simple. This is not more acceptable. It is not possible to continue to waste our time only for living in the hectic conditions. We wanted to propose a new paradigm in order to rediscover our useful time, in order to rediscover our resources in the proximity, in order to find an innovative way for a low carbon city, in order to rediscover social link, in order to rediscover the empowerment by citizens. We need to propose a new organization of the urban life. The 15-minute city, the city of proximities, is based on 4 powerful pillars. The first one, ecology. Each one of our actions in cities should be transformed in a low carbon city. The second pillar, proximity. We need to rediscover our vicinity. We need to rediscover all kinds of resources, materials or immaterials in our vicinity for using more and better. The third pillar, this is the solidarity. We need to develop the social fabric. We need to develop the social link. We need to develop the intergenerational link. We need to develop the gender parity. And the fourth point, the citizen empowerment. We need to foster the citizen participations for committing people in order to transform our proximity. Each one of streets, boulevards, square, public space, including private places, we need to transform with this citizen empowerment. There are the four pillars of the 15-minute city: ecology, proximity, solidarity, empowerment, in order to improve the quality of the urban life, in order to rediscover the useful time, in order to take our time, in order to propose the city of proximities and plural. This is not my proximity. This is the proximity for each one of us in our cities. And our obsessional attitude is to build permanence every day, a sustainable city in the convergence with the ecology, economic, and social positive impact. What is the way for that? The way for that, in fact, is to use three leverages in this process of the transformations. The first one, the chrono-urbanism. We need to change the rhythm of the city. We need to change the pace of the city. This is not possible to continue today in the same poor conditions for going during 1 hour from my home to my office and the road trip. We needed to propose the new possibilities for living differently, for avoiding the effect of mass, and in these pandemic times, this is not more possible. We need to keep the physical distances, and we needed to keep the social intensity. For that, we propose this concept of chronotopia. Chronotopia, this is, I mean, each one of our square meters should be transformed for developing the multi-purpose functions. 1 square meters, multiple uses. Multiple uses, multiple new ideas. We have thousands and thousands of square meters in each one of cities. And in general, each one of square meters building infrastructures are used only for a vertical function, a vertical activity. We needed to break totally this verticality of the function in cities. We needed to propose the massive multi-purpose, multi-uses, multi-services. Only with this chronotopia, we have the possibility to avoid the hours and hours and hours of transportations, because we have the possibility to rediscover in our proximity new resources for satisfying our essential needs. The third scientific element for improving this happy proximity is the topophilia. The topophilia is the capacity for loving our places, for loving our streets, for loving our neighborhood, for loving our square meters. And this is essential for building new urbanities. It's not possible to have a cleaner district, or a cleaner street, or safe street, or safe boulevard, or safe square, if we don't have a new urbanity. The new urbanity, this is a question of a new urban culture. And this urban culture is the possibility for each one of us to develop this topophilia. We consider that the city of proximity, the 15-minute city, is in reality the possibility for transforming our cities concretely if we have the possibility to develop a new urban policy based on these three elements: a new rhythm of the city, the massive multipurpose functions in the square meters, and a new urban cultures. This is the model for building the 50-minute city instead of the size of the city. The 50 minutes concept is not only a concept available for small, middle, or big metropolises. The 50-minute city, this is a concept in order to shift our urban paradigm. The 50-minute concept, this is a new journey for proposing a new organization of the urban life. In fact, the very popular concept is the 50-minute city. The 50-minute city is proposed for high urban densities. And we propose as well the 30-minute territory for the territory with middle and low density. And in reality, we have in general a mix between the cities with very, very high density in general in the center of the city, and we have the outskirts, we have the cities surrounded by a territoriality with a middle or low density. But the concept is the same concept: 15-minute city, 30-minute territory. Concretely, in fact, we have created a new model based on 6 urban social functions: to live, to work, to supply, to care, to learn, and to enjoy. We consider that if we have the possibility for using chrono-urbanism, chronotopia, topophilia, with the 4 pillars: ecology, proximity, solidarity, and citizen empowerment, we have the possibility for providing for each one of us an access within a reduced perimeter by a low carbon mobility, by foot or by bike, in order to access to the maximum of each one of 6 urban social functions. This is the functional circularity. All people know the circular economy. We want to go beyond the economy because we wanted to integrate the ecology and the social impact. For that, our circularity is a functional circularity, human-oriented. At the heart of each one of our urban policy, we propose to explore our neighborhood in order to use our resources for improving each one of the 6 functions with the best effort. To live in the good conditions, to work near of my home, to supply with the short circuits, to care for my health, mental and physical, to learn, to educate, to access to the culture, and to enjoy. And in reality, this is today possible. 5 years ago, when for the first time I evoked the 15-minute city, many people said to me at this moment, this is a utopia. This is a nice utopia, but utopia, because it will be not possible to work near of my home. And 5 years after, when we are living with the pandemic crisis, in reality, several people have the possibility to work differently. I'm not a supporter of the massive home working because I think that this is a very dangerous way. But I consider that we have the possibility to propose a decentralized work. In reality, the mayor of Paris, Miss Anne Hidalgo, she said in just one sentence, the 15-minute city, the 30-minute territory, it's the big bang of the proximity. In reality, we wanted to increase 3 new indicators. My personal indicator of the well-being with myself, my family, my kid. The second indicator, myself and my sociability with my friends and my work colleagues. And the third indicators, the good relationship between myself and the planet, the ecological attitude, and with the other people, the otherness. In reality, if we have proposed this functional circularity based on 6 urban social functions, in reality, we want to propose the new services based on the intensive explorations of each one of my streets, my districts, my neighborhood, and to have a mobility by carbon, by foot, by walk, or the massive transportation in the good conditions. We consider that the mobility, this is the consequence of the absence, the continuity in the territoriality of the urban social functions. This is the ontologic model of the 15-minute city and the 30 territory minutes. If we wanted to explore this concept, the city of proximity, for improving the high quality urban sociability, we need to explore each one of the urban social functions for finding the definitions, the services, and in fact, when we have the possibility to study in the deep way, we have the possibility to build the new urban matrix. No longer for having a smart city, only for having a happy city. No longer for having a smart life, only for having a happy life. We need for that to explore each one of urban social functions, not more for isolating each one, but the secret of the success, the 15-minute city, is to work, to hard work about the intersections. We need to maximize the intersections. We need to mutualize. We need to mutualize the urban social functions. We need to mutualize the services. You need to mutualize the infrastructures. This is the secret. We need to build a mass critical density. This is very important in cities, because the density is the possibility to gather people in order to propose the services based on the urban social mix. The danger in cities is the promiscuity. The promiscuity is this idea of cities without the capability for offering a real quality of life. And automatically, if we have the possibility to mix, to develop the intersections, to mutualize, automatically we will increase the three indicators of the quality of life: my well-being, my sociability, and my sustainable planet. The secret is we need to mix uses in a short perimeter. We need in this trajectory to build new indicators. This is the role of the urban planners. This is the role of the local governors. This is the role of innovative people interested in promote a new paradigm. If we consider that, we need to shift the paradigm. But don't forget, the success of the 15-minute city is to develop the mixed uses in a polycentric cities. The common good, this is the main guide for the urban policy in city. The policymakers should embrace the common good in order to propose not a rural hamlet, not a collection of the rural hamlet, but to propose a vibrant and livable city with the polycentric vicinity. We need, of course, to optimize 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, 500 meters, 800 meters. And it's very important to propose all kinds of different services in order to satisfy the different urban social functions with the optimization and social mixity. But we need to keep the target to develop everywhere, every time, with the implementation, not of my 15-minute city for myself, but the 15-minute city for everyone, for all. This is the concept of polycentric city, to grid city. The idea is no longer have a center and the different district specialized, the cultural, the rich, the poor, the middle class, the business, but to propose a grid city with this way for maximize the use, the mixed use. The motto of the 15-minute city: from constrained mobility towards chosen mobility. Today, in our cities, we don't have a choice. We are constrained to take the mobility at the same hour, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and in the evening for going from my home to my office and vice versa. We need to explode this system. The 15-minute city is the possibility for having my choice for my mobility. I have the possibility to satisfy my essential needs in my proximity. Very good. And I have the possibility to go everywhere. I have the possibility to go elsewhere. I have the possibility to go by foot, by bike, or by metro or buses, etc., etc. But this is my choice. And today, with the COVID pandemic crisis, we have been observing this new, very relevant impact with the corporate towers, which has been becoming the ghost tower, because it's not more possible to go by for being 1,000 or more in different towers. The decentralized job is the new revolution, and this situation is our best ally today in order to deploy the 15-minute city. The new concept is the corporate working. Many people know the concept of co-working because it's very popular between innovative people for the incubator, for the place for co-working. And today, the big companies have been starting to deploy the similar concept, the corporate working. In reality, it is not more the big towers, but the decentralized places in different points of the city, and their employees have the possibility to go in different points near from their home for continuing to work with the new technologies. I think that it is better because to continue to work in pyjama at home, this is not good for the mental. This is fun. The first week, the 1 month or 2 months, very, very fun. But the pyjama work, I think, is very, very dangerous for our mental integrity. On the contrary, to propose a decentralized working. This is a new urban policy for promoting, for developing the 15-minute city. In fact, with the digital technologies, we have been living a wonderful moment because we have the possibility to explore. This is the case with my team at the Sorbonne University. We have been built a very powerful digital platform based on ontologies and artificial intelligence in order to explore the each square meter of our districts for finding the resources in the proximity in order to optimize, to mutualize, to use, to reuse, to propose more and better intensive uses. We have been built a very complete methodology in order to propose a path with this digital platform for visualizing, for geolocate the resources, for identify the slot times for managing the accessibility for exploring all kind of possibilities. In the city of Paris, this is today the urban official policy of the mayor of Paris, Miss Anne Hidalgo. And Miss Anne Hidalgo is the first mayor in the world who has appointed a deputy mayor in charge of 15-minute city. Miss Karine Roland, this is the name, this is her name. It is the deputy mayor in charge of the culture and the 15-minute city. This is very important because the 15-minute city, I said, it is a urban cultural revolution. We need to change our mindset. We need to shift our paradigm. We need to have a new approach about our urbanities. And in the city of Paris, the project with Miss Anne Hidalgo is, of course, to identify the urban social functions and to propose different resources with the school, the work, reuse, local commerce, enjoy outdoors for the public spaces, engagement of the urban communities, health for all kinds of people, including elderly people, kids, and the short circuits for fooding. And we have been starting the deep transformations. The question is not only, for example, in this picture, to transform the public spaces for reducing the personal vehicles. This is the case with the bike lanes, with the sidewalk for pedestrian and furniture for kids, for elderly people. But we have the possibility to transform the level 0 of the buildings, because with the common good, we have the possibility to invest in the subsidiary company of the city of Paris, the commercial property for buying the square meters in order to rent for installing the, for example, one-point shop, for installing libraries, for installing art gallery, for installing the point for recycle, for selling the things in the second or third life. This is very, very important in our project. The common good, we needed to protect the square meters of the financial speculations or the speculation with the real estate. This is a very, very important point if we wanted to propose a 15-minute city for all and to resist to gentrification. Because if we have the possibility to increase the quality of life, of course, there are the tentative for keeping these places, for installing a gentrification process. And if we wanted to propose the 15-minute city for citizens, for all, for everyone, we needed to resist against the gentrification process. And the first manifestation of the gentrification is the high prices of the square meters. We needed to protect against the speculative real estate operations. And for that, we need to propose the tools in the urban policy, in the urban local policy by the local governors And one of the tools is the commercial property of the city. And this is the same situation for housing. It is not possible to allow the possibility for the rich people to live in the district with the 15-minute city attitude, because in this case we will continue to foster social exclusions. If we wanted to develop the social inclusion, we needed to propose the rent, the square meters, the flat, with the regulations. Common goods equal public regulation. This is very, very, very important. Without the common good, which the best practice is a regulation, it is not possible to resist to processes of gentrification. I like this picture because this picture was took 3 weeks ago, and this is the court of a school. For the first time in the history of the French Republic, the court of schools were opened during the weekend. Until now, these square meters are closed because the school is closed Friday or no, Saturday morning. Now, with the 15-minute city, the decision of the mayor of Paris is to open the school for other activities different to the scholar activities. I think that this is a very concrete measure for using square meters, because before this measure, these square meters are empty. We have now, with the 15 minutes city, the possibility for deploying all kinds of activities, because each one of association of the neighborhood of are the possibility for proposing activities. I like this picture because this is a former very, very industrial district in the outskirts of Paris. And instead of this nice building and the green connector, we had the ugly building with the promiscuity for the working class. And today, this is a very concrete district, totally based on the concept of 15-minute city. And we don't have more promiscuity. We don't have more ugly building. We have today, this is the concept of organic density. The proximity is not good for cities. The organic density is a real pleasure. This is the organic density because you have the mass critical for people to live here, but in the very, very good condition, with the natural architecture, with the natural ventilation, with the mixed user functions, with the shop in the proximity, with the multi-purpose functions, with the one-point shop, with the green connectors, with the mobility by foot or by bike, with the green areas, etc., etc. I wanted just to, for finishing, invite you to take part in the initiative launched by the C40 Cities Network. The C40 Cities Network, Piyush said, announced before my masterclass. The C40 Cities is the powerful organization of the global cities. And in December, in Paris, we have launched an international initiative for transforming cities in order to improve the quality of life by proximities. Reinventing proximities, we have 18 cities candidates. Each one have proposed a place for students and teachers for transforming cities. This international 15-minute action is opened until March. We have the possibility to find out more in the website of the C40 cities. And you have the possibility, of course, to create a team and to candidate for one of the places around the world. My book in 5 languages, French, English, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, urban life and proximity at the time of COVID-19. This is a digital book. I am very happy to share with you my research work, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Professor Moreno, for such an extensive and constructive, I must say, a fruitful lecture. Not a lecture, an interaction, basically, with the help of so many pictures. And as I'm a student myself, I could get to learn a lot from this particular session, especially when you mentioned about the performance of the countries for the climate change. I would like to tell you that the Indians, the India is pretty much in synergy with the Paris Agreement, and we recently ranked in the top 10 countries according to the performance towards climate change, as well as, but still we do have problems because we have in the top 10 polluted cities, we also have our cities, New Delhi being the most populated cities in the world, uh, and also the congested cities. So we definitely think that such innovative ideas, the city of proximities, will definitely be of help for decarbonizing the Indian cities, considering our population. And as we say that old is gold, I would like to tell you about India's old gold. So we have a city called Jaipur in India, which happens to be the capital of state called Rajasthan. And the old city of Jaipur was designed by the king.
Very nice city. I know
Yeah,
Jaipur.
yeah. It's based on the principle somewhat similar to 15-minute city only, with the proximity being there. And it's in the DNA of Indians to have mixed use buildings around. So, yeah. So it's a great cultural exchange, probably planning exchange between India and French, not just the Eiffel Tower.
The Eiffel Tower.
Not just the Eiffel Tower, but also we are fond of the French footballers as well, be it the Kylian Mbappe or the Rafael Varane, Zinedine Zidane. But I'll also like to tell about the initiatives of Indian government, which are in synergy with 15-minute city concept, that the streets belong to people and not to the cars. So Indian government has launched so many programs such as Streets for People, Cycles for Change. So it's great that we all are thinking in synergy. And of course, the 15-minute city cannot be, the principles of 15-minute city cannot be just picked up and just placed in a particular city, as planning is subjective. It will take an insane person like Donald Trump to do so. But still, yeah. Well, without wasting much of our time, I'll quickly move to a few questions that we have. I'm very sorry, I'll have to be very choosy here as we are running so hard on time, as Professor Moreno is very busy. So we have Professor Sarika Agarwal with us. Hi, ma'am. Could you please unmute yourself and shoot your question directly to Professor Moreno?
Yeah, hello. This is Professor Sarika Agarwal. I'm also an architect and a planner and pursuing my PhD from Amity University, Rajasthan right now. So I am just wondering that how these 15-minute cities or like the way we are talking about the proximities of cities is so valid in the Indian context because urbanization and sustainability usually doesn't go hand in hand and simultaneously. For example, we have an example of Auroville. It is a sustainable city and it was designed for the population of 10,000. But after so many years of its existence also, we have not been able to achieve the population of just 2,500. So this is one of its concerns when we are talking about the density, achieving the density of the population from when we particularly design a city. So how these kind of the issues can be resolved, and the Indian climatic conditions also doesn't allow us to make the neighborhoods or the cities that 15-minute thing. So this is one of major concerns. I
Yes,
would like Professor Moreno to just highlight on this aspect.
yes. Thank you for your question. In fact, I have the same discussion with my audience in Latin America. I was born in Colombia. And of course, I know very well Latin America and big cities because, for example, Bogota, this is a big city with 7 million of inhabitants, and the half of the population is the informal population in the poor settlements. The question is the same in India because I know India. I had the honor and pleasure to visit different cities in India. And I want to say that the density in big cities, in metropolises, in my opinion, is not a real obstacle for proposing a new paradigm for the urban life based on this idea of the city of proximity or 15-minute city. Why? In reality, I said during my masterclass that the most important point is to design out a city of proximity based on common good with 4 pillars: ecology, proximity, solidarity, citizen empowerment. When we consider the start point with our hectic metropolis, our hectic big metropolises, if we wanted to deploy this concept, if we wanted to implement this this is a big opportunity for proposing a new urban life organization in each one of districts or neighborhood. I have been working currently with the mayor of Bogota, for example, and the idea is to change the current paradigm and to organize during the next 5 years a new urban social organization for decentralized work, for decentralized health services, for decentralized educative pedagogical resources, for decentralized cultures, for create short circuits, and to promote the decentralized jobs. And of course, to improve the condition of housing for people. It is not possible to implement in a few months. It's not possible because we are living in cities after 70 years or more of a productivist paradigm with a very significant distanciation between each one of urban social functions. With the 15-minute city, even if we are living in the big metropolises, we have the possibility to provoke a new Big Bang, the Big Bang of the massive decentralizations. And one of the results of this massive decentralization is the massive decentralization of the urban policy. Ourselves, policymakers, we needed to propose this decentralized way. The mayor of Paris, for example, currently, she has decided to implement a new method for the local governance with the deputy mayors, with the more characteristics, with the more local functionalities. I think that this is the opportunity for promoting a mass decentralization. And just for finishing, we need to discuss, to establish a deal with the private sector, because we need to have allies in this way for decentralizing jobs, because the jobs in general, this is the order of private companies. And we needed to have discussions in order to promote. But today, this is a real success in this way, because several big companies today are totally aware that we needed to switch the paradigm for the post-COVID times.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, sir, for such a deep and insightful answer. And I hope that answered the question of Professor Sarika ma'am. I would like to also extend that the place she mentioned, the Auroville, is very much near to the French colony in India, the Pondicherry. Yeah.
Pondicherry, you are good.
Yes. Now I'll quickly move on to the last question. I'm very sorry for choosing only two questions. With the due permission of Professor Moreno, sir, I would like to share his email ID with the people that have joined with us today, so that you can interact with Professor Moreno on later this session. So I would like to quickly have Ms. Anshul Srivastav to ask her question, which is about the density, the organic density that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Anshul?
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So my name is Anshul Srivastav, and I am currently, my thesis is on basically trying to convert Delhi, the capital of India, into a 15-minute city. So the problems that I am facing right now is to understand, because we have various different types of neighborhood, and because of different cultural aspects as well in different neighborhoods, the problem is that I am unable to understand that to have the maximum social cohesion with an economic model to for the institutional purposes, how much density should I incorporate within one neighborhood? Because like in your presentation, you said that we have 15-minute city, then there's a 30-minute territory, but we also have 15-minute neighborhoods that you were talking about. So that is my question. So how much density, what's the benchmark? Because that I feel has as rightly said by Piyush, we have a mixed use. We tend to have a lot of mixed use development already in India. But what is the density that is required for a variety of neighborhoods that a city is required to be converted into a 15-minute city?
Thank you for your question, and you are totally right. In fact, the city of Paris is one of the most high density cities. We have 200 people per square kilometer. The city of Paris is a small city, only 100 square kilometers for almost 2 million of inhabitants. And of course, with 200 people per square kilometers. This is higher density. The concrete case of the city of Paris, for example, the urban organization is in reality for the modern times, after the Haussmann architect, totally welcomable. The question is, what is the level, the threshold of the minimal density if we wanted to apply this concept of 15-minute city, or the 30 minutes territory when we want to consider the middle or low density. I think that we need at least more than 70 inhabitants per square kilometer, because the density is analyzed for proposing the mass critical for the urban services. Density in Delhi, for example, you're right, because there are, in fact, with the density, another element. But in your question, you said the density is one the aspect, the quantity by people in the square meters. But the second question is the social mixity. Because one of the difficulties in the big metropolises is the social segregation or economical segregation. I mean that in several cities we could have a very important and correct density for proposing the mass critical of services. But if the inhabitants are homogeneous, in the socially segmentation, the concept of 15-minute city is not totally applied, because we don't need to promote more and more social and economical segregation. In reality, we wanted to propose this density, and we want to propose as well 3 other elements: the social mixity, the functional mixity, and the ubiquity, the use of technologies for having more services in this proximity. I think that one of the obstacles in the countries under development is the social segregation, economical segregation. We need to fight for mixing social and economical people in the same district, and it's not easy task. I think that is one of the most important problems. This is the role of the local governors.
Yes, thank you so much, sir, for such an elongated and deeply researched answer. I hope that has answered the question of Ms. Anshul. And with this, these couple of questions, representative questions, I would like to tell everyone that it's almost beyond time we are going. And Professor Moreno has a lot of responsibilities being the special envoy to the Paris. So this brings me to the motive of this initiative of planogram as well as practical cities, that we are here to amplify various efforts that are being taken in the world to promote the betterment of the human settlements as well as the humanity and mankind. With the 15-minute city being the path-breaking concept of Professor Carlos Moreno, just like smart city as well as the livable city, I would like to thank Professor Moreno for devoting his precious most of time to us, the students of India, as well as from other countries as well. On behalf of Team Planogram, I would like to thank the Team Practical Cities for sparing their time as well as resources for this particular session. We look forward to keep in touch with the entire C40 Cities ETI chair, and of course, our beloved Professor Carlos Moreno, sir. Thank you so much for such a wonderful session. We look forward to the next constructive sessions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the kind invitation.
Yes,
Keep in touch.
yes.
Bye.
Our pleasure. Thank you.